On the first day of writing, my editor gave to me a deadline with hard edits, oh geez. On the second day of writing, my editor gave to me 2 changing tenses and a deadline with hard edits, oh geez. On the third day of writing, my editor gave to me 3 vague suggestions.
There was this thing on page 239 that I did not like. Fix it.
Can you give me a little more detail?
No.
2 changing tenses and a deadline with hard edits, oh geez. On the 4th day of writing, my editor gave to me 4 failed queries, 3 vague suggestions, 2 changing tenses, and a deadline with hard edits, oh geez. On the 5th day of writing, my editor gave to me 5 giant plot holes, 4 failed queries, 3 vague suggestions, 2 changing tenses, and a deadline with hard edits, oh geez. On the 6th day of writing, my editor gave to me 6 changing viewpoints, 5 giant plot holes, 4 failed queries, 3 vague suggestions, 2 changing tenses, and a deadline with hard edits, oh geez. On the 7th day of writing, my editor gave to me 7,000 words cut, 6 changing viewpoints, 5 giant plot holes, 4 failed queries, 3 vague suggestions, 2 changing tenses, and a deadline with hard edits, oh geez. On the 8th day of writing, my editor gave to me 8 books to study, 7,000 words cut, 6 changing viewpoints, 5 giant plot holes, 4 failed queries, 3 vague suggestions, 2 changing tenses, and a deadline with hard edits, oh geez. On the 9th day of writing, my editor gave to me 9 competing titles, 8 books to study, 7,000 words cut, 6 changing viewpoints, 5 giant plot holes, 4 failed queries, 3 vague suggestions, 2 changing tenses, and a deadline with hard edits, oh geez. On the 10th day of writing, my editor gave to me 10,000 realies, 9 competing titles, 8 books to study, 7,000 words cut, 6 changing viewpoints, 5 giant plot holes, 4 failed queries, 3 vague suggestions, 2 changing tenses, and a deadline with hard edits, oh geez. On the 11th day of writing, my editor gave to me 11 sequels pending, 10,000 realies, 9 competing titles, 8 books to study, 7,000 words cut, 6 changing viewpoints, 5 giant plot holes, 4 failed queries, 3 vague suggestions, 2 changing tenses, and a deadline with hard edits, oh geez. On the 12th day of writing, my editor gave to me 12 pages of me just kind of going on and on to this whole fight scene where I put on like way too much detail describing each step for each character. Like there's John and there's Jacob and there's Doberman and there's Doberman's mom and then there's the thought of Doberman's daughter, and so you've got the description of each step, even if it's just like a little inch or like a half an inch, and the thought process going through the mind of the person as they make that mild movement, and where the sweat is coming from and what part of the shirt it's dampening. It was the armpit and like around the waistband, just FYI. And this guy, he was just staring had this look of this killer in his eye, because he was a killer, and standing in front of Doberman's room reminded him of the 10 years he spent in prison for killing his grandmother with a piano wire. that 12 months ago because, you know, when he was a kid, she forced him to learn the piano. He really didn't want to learn the piano. He wanted to learn the clarinet or, like, the saxophone. But she said the saxophone will never mean anything, and why are you going to learn the saxophone? No one likes jazz anymore. What are you, an old man? You're like your grandfather. Ah! And so he killed her, and he didn't even finish his time in jail because he escaped, and he was now on the run and stressed out all the time. But he worried about the child that he had before going to prison, and he really wanted to see his daughter, Patty, and who by now must have been at least 13 years old, and if she looked anything like her mother, she...
Stop. Edit. Continue the song.
11 sequels pending, 10,000 reelies, 9 competing titles, 8 books to study, 7,000 words cut, 6 changing viewpoints, 5 giant plot holes, 4 veiled queries, 3 vague suggestions, 2 changing tenses, and a deadline with hard edits. Oh.